Good day and welcome to another Monday segment of A Week at the Plot. Those weeks are really flying by. Um, we're creeping up to the middle of April now, and then hopefully we're going to be on the other side of this cold snap that we are having at the moment. It's really quite bizarre. There's quite a lot of blue sky out there, but there's quite a lot of big fluffy clouds out there. And at the moment, the clouds are over the sun and everything feels rather cool and grey. When the sun is fully out, it feels gloriously warm. What I have noticed today is that unfortunately, our kiwi at the side of the shed, it was bitten by that frost last night. One of those things, stupid things. Yesterday, I looked at it and thought, oh, it's got through that frost that we had, that quite hard frost we had the other day. Oh, I'm really pleased about that. It is winter hardy after all. And then I come down today and the leaves are slack and have gone a sort of dark, mottled, reddy brown. However, when I lift up the leaves, I do see there's still green shoots underneath them. So I think I'm just going to put a bit of cardboard over that for the coming days, because I think we do dip down to freezing again in a few days' time later this week. I'm not sure when, but then hopefully once we get to the weekend, we start building that temperature up. So fingers crossed. Now, what I did want to talk about today is saving seeds from brassicas. Kale and cabbage and other brassica seeds are very easy to save. The kales are the easiest, I think, to save because they will naturally, at this time of year, go to flower and then go to seed. Things like cauliflowers and cabbages, they will actually burst their heads first and then put spikes up and go to flower. But kales like Nero di Toscana and our Portuguese cabbage and kale thousand head and all of those kales, they're really, really easy to save seed from. At this time of year, they're also a fabulous food source for bees and other pollinators. So do be wary of that. Don't be cutting the flowering heads of your brassicas off at this time of year unless you want to do some seed saving. And I'll come on to that in a minute. There's such a good food source for bees. Just leave them be. And then when they flowered and gone over, cut them down and put them into your compost. However, if you want to save seeds from brassicas, kales in particular are really, really easy to save seed from. The flower will come up. It will show its glorious yellowness or creamy whiteness. And then it will form seed pods, which are a bit like tiny sweet pea pods, a bit like really small sweet pea pods. And the seeds inside that you'll be able to remove. What I normally do is I let the seed pods dry completely and then put them in a cloth bag with a tie at the top, and then just rub that bag between your hands, and that will break up the seed pods and let the seeds fall out. And then you can remove the seed pods if you like. But just a warning, brassicas are pretty tarty. So if you do have, as we have here, Portuguese cabbage flowering at the same time as kale thousand head, the bees aren't going to go, oh, we'll have kale thousand head today, or oh, we'll have Portuguese cabbage today. They'll just fly between those flowers, pollinating and cross-pollinating very likely between your sets of plants. So if you're going to be saving seed from brassicas, just let one variety of brassica go to seed each year. I do accept by not allowing other brassicas to flower, you are cutting down the source of food for bees. But actually what you're doing by just allowing one variety of brassica to flower and go to seed each year is you're minimizing the chance of cross-pollination. And if you can work with other plot holders, and there's no reason with brassica seeds you can't, because of how many you get from one plant. You know, if you can work with other plot holders and say, this year let's allow the Portuguese cabbage, next year let's allow the Nero di Toscana, the year later let's allow cauliflowers. You know, if you can do that, then you're going to be doing what's good for nature and good for saving seed as well. This year, we're not saving any seed on our plot here. However, there is another plot holder who's about 30, or her patch of Portuguese cabbage is about 30 meters away from me. And ideally, you'd like to have 50 meters around you clear to ensure or to minimize the chance of that variety of brassica cross-pollinating with others. So what's happening here at the moment, her Portuguese cabbage, they're going to seed. The flowers are beginning to form but aren't opening. What we have done is we've said, right, anyone who's growing different varieties of brassica other than Portuguese cabbage within like 50 meters, we're not going to let those flower this year. However, any that are 50 meters away or more, we're going to let them flower. And from our seed saving of Portuguese cabbage, was it 2 years ago? Was it last year or 2 years ago? I think we've got enough seed for 8 or 10 years. And that's just from one plant, you know, and that's also we've given some seeds to Vivi, we've given some seeds to other people. We've obviously given plants to other people as well. But I think we've got enough Portuguese cabbage seed for 8 to 10 years. The good thing is it has long life viability, and we're extending that life of our Portuguese cabbage seed by keeping them in a glass jar in the fridge. So it's a dark place, it's a cool place, and brassicas absolutely love that, as do 99% of seeds, I think. So yeah, if you want to save brassicas, do give some thought to what's happening to other brassicas around you on other people's plots. Obviously, if you're fortunate enough to have your own garden and you're well away from other gardeners or other allotments, it's great because you can control much more easily what you're doing rather than control between other people. But you know what? That's part of allotment life as well, isn't it? I was just talking to a fellow plot holder a moment ago, and we're going to be removing a fence at some point in the future, and she's got something growing along her fence, and she was worried that she would have to stop growing. And I've just said, well, look, we can see what you've got growing there. We won't do anything to hinder that. We'll work around it. You know, that's the whole point of allotmenteering and community gardening and community growing in my book. It's working with people and not working against people. I just wish so many others in life would think of others on a daily basis. I won't go into one, but you know, it astounds me how little thought many people give to the mental health or the state of somebody else and how they may react to something. So anyway, we're off the subject of brassica seed saving. But yeah, there is a way to try and minimize cross-pollination of brassicas, as I have said, cut off the flowers of the varieties that you don't want to save seed from, and that will minimize the chance of cross-pollination. Okay, I'm going to leave it there now. I hope you all have a good week if you're on Planet Vegetaria, and if you're on YouTube, there's quite a bit more to watch yet. Anyway, have a good day, whatever you're doing and whenever you're watching. Bye. Good day. Today we're going to be sowing these berries, these asparagus berries. So these are berries that a fellow plot holder harvested from his asparagus last year, and in order to create new plants, what he does is he just sows these directly. So he overwinters them, as has happened, and then sows them around this time in compost. So we're going to have a go as well. I'm going to take that away. Just going to fill this tray up, maybe 3/4 of the way. Level it off, flatten it down, tamp it down, as they say. Rough it up a little bit again. So the compost is firm, but I've just roughened up the surface, and I'm just going to spread these around. Look at that, they look Christmassy, don't they? They do. Right, that's all of them. Let's just spread them around a bit, even things out. I'm not going to worry too much about them. Well, I'm not going to worry at all about them touching. Maybe I am. Then I'm pressing them down into that compost just with my hand. And I'm putting another few centimeters on top. Pressing that down to make sure the top compost is in contact. I'm going to put a bit more on. Press it down. And then I always like to just roughen the surface a little. So I find the moisture gets in better. It doesn't puddle anywhere. And then leaning over here. Giving it all a decent water. That'll do. And now I'm going to put a little propagator lid on top of this and pop it underneath on the lower bench. What the lower bench of this table. What is it? Potting bench. On the lower bench of this potting bench. That's what I mean to say. And in a few, I don't know, maybe a few weeks, maybe a few months, maybe we'll see something. Maybe. Fingers crossed. Never done this before, and it'll be interesting to see what happens. Okay, simple one for today. I'll leave it there, and I'll see you again tomorrow for another a week at the plot. Bye. Oh, I must do my label. Good day and welcome to this Wednesday segment of A Week at the Plot. And today I'm going to do something that I said I wasn't going to do. But it's because I've been given a few things. Look. So this side is Swift and this side is an unknown potato. I said I wasn't going to grow any potatoes in tubs this year. Our Cara potatoes are going to be going in the ground. Our Colleen potatoes have already gone in the raised bed behind me on the top side of our plot. But I do have 2 old recycling containers that are empty at the moment. One is completely empty, the other one is almost empty. So what I've decided, because we have that compost in that jumbo bag, I'm going to use the compost in that jumbo bag to plant up these potatoes. So I know what we've got here. Let's go and have a look at what we've got in the jumbo bag. This is the jumbo bag of compost I'm talking about. It needs to be moved so we can do the vinyl area here. This all came out of the decrepit pallet compost bin about a year ago, and maybe a bit longer than that, and has just been sitting in this jumbo bag. I haven't actually opened it. I've sort of folded it back together when it's sort of opened up, and it's had various things on top of it over the last months, peat bags and things like that. But let's just open it up and see what's inside. Well, plastic glove there, bindweed there and here, bits of plastic, but this is why we put it in here in the first place. But you know what? It's not bad. Not bad at all. I'm really pleased with that. Let's put some in the wheelbarrow. Bits of plastic I'm taking out, and bits of weed. Okay, I think that will do. Look, all of the plastic and, well, mainly plastic that's come out. But that's why it went in the jumbo bag, because I knew all of this was in here. These are the 2 recycling containers I'm going to use. This front one has got spent compost from last year still in it. The back one, as you can see, is empty. And all I'm going to do is fill the back one up to about the same level as this one, and then nestle the potatoes into the compost and then just top them up maybe a couple of inches above the compost. Let's just move this out the way. That'll do. Let's just pull that back a bit. Right, I've got my potatoes. That's looks like an onion. I'm just going to level that off a bit. Oh look, there's a potato already in there. Right, I'm going to just nestle those down. I'm going to put the Swift in here. What was that one? That was the wrong one. That's a Swift. Nestle them in, just covering them up. Let's just put these in. As I say, I don't know what variety these are. We do it like that. And now add a bit more nutrient to that one. Bit more plastic, bit more plastic. There's still a few bits of plastic. Right, that'll do. Just push that soil down a bit with your fingertips. Another bit of plastic and a little weed. Right, job done. We'll see how those do. So there we are, job done. I've got nothing to lose. You know, I was given those 8 potato seeds. We're using containers that I wasn't going to be using. I thought I'll leave them in situ. They did fine where they were last year, so I'll leave them there. I've reused that compost in one of them, and we saw that there was a potato coming up in that as well. And obviously I've used that compost. And as I was using it and as I was pulling it out, it did remind me why I put it into that jumbo bag. Yes, it was about the weeds, but it was also because of the huge amount of plastic that was in that decrepit pallet bin when we took it over. But you know what? It's been sitting there for a year, something like that, and we have decent compost. I think I will sieve it because I think I'll get more smaller bits of plastic out rather than rummaging through with my hands. But yeah, I'm pleased that it's done. I did find a rather long bit of bindweed. Let's look. There's the top of the bindweed. Look, there we are. And then he goes on, and then he goes on, and he goes on, and he goes on, and he goes on. So yeah, what's that? That's about 12 inches. 12 inches. 12 inches. I do know what 12 inches is. And yeah, so it's about 4 foot of bindweed there. That's going to go into our perennial bin composter, perennial weed bin composter. I always call it perennial bin composter, but yeah, perennial weed bin composter. Let me just put that outside. So yeah, as I say, I've got nothing to lose. Free potato seed, free containers, i.e. containers that I wasn't going to be using, compost that I need to move. But actually, you know what? What's really interesting is that compost looks fabulous. Take away the weeds, take away the plastic, and that compost looks really nutritious. What I have done is I've just given the potatoes that I've just planted a little water, and then because we're due more cold nights, I've put a piece of cardboard or 2 bits of cardboard folded up into each of those containers, just in case we get any frost. The cardboard will keep that frost off. It's odd looking at the weather at the moment, the weather forecasts at the moment, because every time I look a few days ahead, for about the last week, it said in maybe 3 days, the 0 temperatures that we're getting at night stop. But then 24 hours later, I look at it again, and that 0 has moved another 24 hours. So I was saying, I think at the back end of last week, that after a few days, our temperature starts picking up at night and during the day, but particularly at night. Frost is the thing that we're looking at this time of year. But each morning when I look at the weather forecast, it's jumped forward another day. Fingers crossed that it stops jumping forward to 0 degrees, an additional 24 hours very soon. I think Vivi said we were due rain at the weekend. I must admit, I haven't been looking at the dryness of things because I know they have been dry. I've just been looking at the temperature. So fingers crossed for getting some watering. Oh, and what I did notice just before was our Mr. Bethel's purple podded mange 2. 2 of them have germinated. So great. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I think this is quite a long one today. Once I edit it together, it's most probably going to be about 10 minutes or so. Anyway, I'll stop rambling. Though some of you like me to ramble, I know. Others don't. They just switch off. So I'm going to stop rambling. I might ramble at the end of the week. Okay, see you soon. Oh, the sun's coming out. Oh, look, the sun's coming out. Can you see? No, you can't. Oh, it's going back in. Right. Okay. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Good day. And it is a good day because I'm continuing with that jumbo bag of compost. So yesterday we planted up the seed potatoes using the compost from the jumbo bag. Now that jumbo bag, as you know, it was filled from the remnants of a really decrepit pallet bin compost system that was here when we took on this side of the plot. And it was so full of plastics and detritus and weeds. I thought, I know what, I'm going to put it into a jumbo bag, cover it in cardboard down the sides as well as the top, and then just leave it. And that's what I did. I've left it actually for almost a year now, if not more than a year. And what I did this morning is I decided to carry on emptying it. I've got about half a ton out. It's a ton bag and I've got about half of it out, so I've still got half to do. But what I did is I gave it a really good sieve, or as we say in gardening terms, a riddle. I gave it a riddle. So I used our sieve, our riddle, to really sieve it. And before I did that, once I put the compost into the riddle, the sieve, I then went through it with my hands to take out any worms. We don't want to riddle any worms. You know, better to have them in the compost than you shaking them about in that riddle. Take out any visible plastic I could see at that stage, or twine, or anything I didn't want. And then really riddled it, broke up any clumps that were still there, and broke up the larger clumps that sometimes were still there. And then riddled it. And then what was left in the riddle after I'd done all of that has just gone into a bucket, and we will deal with that another day. It'll likely go to a landfill because there's lots of plastic and detritus in there, including glass and things like that. So then I took it to the tomato bed by our polytunnel, which I think may be a tomato bed again this year. And I laid it out, and I also put some onto our new potato, our early potato raised bed. As you saw me, I just threw it on top, and then I've raked the tomato bed in front of the polytunnel. So yeah, it's a job only half done. It's starting to cloud over now, and there have been quite a few spots of rain. Nothing major, but it looks as though it will rain. So, you know, we'll see. So that's it. I'm going to leave it there for today. I'm happy with the job I've got done. I need to take some things home for us to pot up tomatoes. So I will be doing that. But yeah, time to go home and have a cup of tea, or maybe a cup of soup. Yeah, maybe a pot noodle. Gosh, it's going grey out there. I'm going to go home before it potentially starts raining. Anyway, see you tomorrow. Bye. Now the sun's coming out again. What weather. Bye. Good day. Well, magpie's just gone over. We're at the top flight of locks where we live. I'm going to be doing a lot of potting on of tomatoes today, so we've come out for a walk. There's a plane going over, as you can hear. This is the top lock cottage, and then we go around, and those are the flight of locks going down there, and the old asylum on the left there. The water today is particularly brown, and it's because they're doing some dredging further up, which we've just seen, because the water is usually pretty clear, even though there may be plastic in it. And there's Richard there coming down. So I think we're going to cross over here and go into that field over there. There's some magpies up there. This is now the top field. Not sure if you can see over there, there's a line of fruit trees. It's part of our orchard trail. More magpies there. Small tree here, which is part of the orchard trail, which is in flower. Rather pretty. What's it say? Hamwell and Norwood Green Orchard Trail. Can't see what variety that is. But yeah, this goes just here into Hamwell Meadows. And then over there is where we were the other day, last week in fact, Warren Farm. And Heathrow is sort of over there. But yeah, look at the blossoms up there. I'm not sure if you can see in the distance. There's another orchard trail tree there. It is lovely, and look at the sky. The sky today, just gorgeous. Lovely. And look, there's Richard. Look at that tree line. Right, we'll leave it there. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye. Good day, and looky here, or rather looky what's not here. That jumbo bag has been emptied, riddled, barrowed over, and it's now been taken away. So I have now access from the path to the perennial bed area, which now doesn't give me any excuse to not get on with this area next week, I think. Maybe tomorrow. Most likely next week. I'm so glad that that jumbo bag has now gone. And I'm also just delighted at the quality of the compost in there. Yes, I've had to riddle it and take out plastics and take out bits of metal and other crap, basically. But you know what? I'm just so pleased to have A, got that job done, and B, got the compost onto the beds. So that was the tomato bed by the polytunnel, and also the raised bed that we've got our early potatoes in that you saw me raking just now. So that job has been done. I've also taken out one of the remaining brassicas in the bed, one of the beds. I still have other brassicas I need to take out and other things I need to take out. So really, whether I start on the perennial bed next week comes down to whether I can get the other beds prepped in time to be able to get on to sorting out the perennial bed. And watering, I mean, come on, you know, we're not even 3/4 of the way through April yet, and I'm watering garlic, I'm watering the onions. I mean, I'm watering everything, but even the garlic and the onions, they don't like being overwatered, but they do need some water. Yes, there is moisture in that soil, but we're not getting the rains that I would be expecting at this time of year to mean that we didn't have to water our onions and garlic and other things. But hey ho, I mean, you know, that's the name of the game, isn't it? We never know what the seasons are going to bring. And at the moment, the seasons are bringing drying weather, certainly, with not enough rain to even moisten the top of the soil, let alone get down below. And as I've said before, with the drying winds that we've had, those top couple of inches of soil, we just need to keep our eye on them, because if the top couple of inches dries out on established plants, that's fine. But if it dries out on new seedlings or potentially new plantings, those plants and those seedlings could just die. So yeah, let's watch out for that. The rest of today is just going to be a bit of pottering, really. There's a few things I want to do in the polytunnel. I need to water the asparagus. I've just remembered I haven't watered that, and that will need water. I'm thinking of sinking them into the perennial bed where we're going to be putting the rhubarb. So once they're sunk in the ground, they'll need less topping up on a regular basis. So that is maybe a medium-term priority rather than a short-term priority. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to leave it there. It's rather lovely today, just barrowing things about and doing things in the warm sunshine. But when the sunshine goes, which it hasn't done today yet, but when it does go, the temperature really does still quite fall. Though we do seem to be over frosts for the time being. Fingers crossed. Yeah, stop waffling, Paul. Say goodbye. See you again tomorrow. Bye. Good day. It's quite early in the morning. Well, for me, it's about 9 o'clock. And I've decided that I'm going to put out various of our modular sown plants today. So that is going to be beetroots, turnips, and chard, and some perpetual spinach. So I've been holding off because we've been getting to frost points over the last week or so. We had a very light frosting last night, but actually when I got down to the plot, there was no sign of any frost down here. So I've decided that as the temperature overnight is generally going to be above 2 or 3 degrees for hopefully the coming months, but certainly the next few weeks, we don't have a cold snap that is going to take the temperature at night down to a frost level, that I'm going to put out these modular sown plants. Let me show you them. These first 3 rows are beetroot. We've got D. Chioggia, Avalanche, and Burpee's Golden. And then right at the back, these here are turnips. They're Goldana turnips, though we've had pretty poor germination from them. If I just lift them up carefully, you can see their root systems. Let's just lift one out. Pretty decent roots. And these are going to be planted out in as a whole module. So there'll be, you can see 4 plants in this one. Let's just pop that back. There's a weed there, take that out. And then if I just turn you over to here, we've got at the front perpetual spinach, which is very green, and then you can see the red vein of the rainbow chard at the back. So most of that looks as though it's red. There is some yellow just over here. I'm not sure if you can see. But yeah, these are going out. As I say, I've been holding off planting these out, mainly down to temperature outside overnight. Let me show you where these are going. Most are going to be going into this bed here, though I think some perpetual spinach will go elsewhere. At the front here, we've got a row of lettuce which went in a few weeks ago, and I'm just going to do rows of beetroot so that I have a sort of block of beetroot going that way. So I'm just making a hole, popping them in, firming them down. Making a hole, popping the module in, firming them down. You want to plant them at the same level. Next row. Another variety. This is Avalanche. In my shadow now, but that will do. Hole down. These are about 8 inches apart. I need to go back over there. we have Caribe de Musan peas here, which are just beginning to germinate. Though I think one of the foxes has scuffed it up because some are quite close to the surface. So I think I'm just going to put some more compost on top there. But these are our perpetual spinach. So the Caribe is there. I'm going to leave a foot there and a foot there. Gosh, I was just buzzed by a hornet then. So this is a block of, or will be a block of perpetual spinach. First time I've modular sown perpetual spinach. Actually, I'm going to put that there because then I'll know that that is perpetual, but I'll know anyway. Let me come over there and do those. There we are, a week at the plot sorted. I'm not quite sure how that footage will all come together, as there's been quite a lot of chatting going on whilst I've been doing what I've been doing. So what most probably would have taken me about 20 minutes has taken me about an hour because I've been chatting with other plot holders. But, you know, that's the joy of allotmenteering. I guess, you know, because I think it will be when Richard and I move and we have a bigger garden, will I still want an allotment? I think I might. I think I will miss that community at an allotment if we just have a really big garden to grow in. Of course, if we have a really big garden with an acre or so, maybe we can set up our own little allotment next to our house. Just thought of that. Oh, that would be quite nice. Anyway, you can see it's quite bright. The sun, what's it now? It's 10 o'clock in the morning. The sun is sort of, where do we say? It's southeast. No, it's southeast at the moment. So south is over there, the sun is over there, east is over there. So it's southeast at the moment. So a quarter of its way through its daylight journey time, I suppose. Maybe a bit more. Anyway, I'm going to go. Hopefully what we planted out will grow well. It's quite tightly planted, which is what I'm trying to do this year with certain things. And we'll see how that will do. If you want to give things, particularly like perpetual spinach and the chard, a foot between them, then you'll likely get bigger plants. But what I'm hoping for is to be able to start harvesting these quite young and keep the plants quite tight. I have put the perpetual spinach into that separate bed as a block, because I do know that's going to grow quite big. But yeah, let's see how we do. And let us know how you're doing as well as part of our Grow Along series. Okay, what do? We sowed those on the 23rd of February in the modules, and they've been planted out today, which I think is the 18th of April. So just under 2 months they've been in those modules. Gosh, that sun is getting very bright. I'm going to say goodbye, and I can see somebody else standing at the side of my plot, so I'm going to go and speak to them now as well. Bye.